Donald Trump is throwing Vice President JD Vance under the bus. There are rumblings that Donald Trump despises JD Vance and he wants JD Vance out. A New York Times article that just came out highlights just how much Donald Trump hates JD Vance. And this was being leaked by all of these Trump insiders to make it clear that Trump is disgusted with JD Vance. So this New York Times article says that Donald Trump thinks that JD Vance is basically lame, that JD Vance is a loser. Donald Trump constantly criticizes JD Vance's shoes. He is always making fun of and mocking JD Vance. He does like that JD Vance is loyal and chooses Donald Trump over the Pope, as Richard Hanania explains. But the article says that he also told JD Vance, you need to be much more subservient. You need to treat me like Xi Jinping. JD Vance also scrolls through social media too much, according to this New York Times article. And Donald Trump had his chief of staff, Susie Wiles, reprimand JD Vance that he needs to not be on social media as much and needs to stop making social media posts. Also, Donald Trump continues to blame JD Vance for the continuation of this catastrophic war in Iran. He brought up Vance's initial opposition to military action in Iran and then questioned the success of JD Vance's diplomatic mission to Pakistan. He's criticized the number of vacations that JD Vance takes, and he jokes that JD Vance always interrupts Donald Trump's conversations and that JD Vance, again, just needs to shut up. Donald Trump also constantly mocks JD Vance for the time that JD Vance fumbled Ohio State's national championship trophy during a White House event. Also, the White House believes that JD Vance is the biggest leaker that they have, who's constantly trying to undermine Donald Trump and others in the regime. So there was a New York Times article that came out on April 9th, 2026. And here was the article. It's how Trump took the U.S. to war with Iran. In a series of Situation Room meetings, Trump weighed his instincts against deep concerns of his vice president and a pessimistic intelligence assessment. Here's the inside story of how he made the fateful decision. So all of Trump's people believe that JD Vance was trying to undermine Trump, position Vance for 2028, or if Donald Trump leaves office before 2028, to be there and to act like JD Vance was right the entire time. So do you remember this New York Times article? It talked about how JD Vance was the person who tried to stop the war, but Trump wouldn't listen and Hegseth wouldn't listen and nobody listened to JD Vance. The New York Times reported that JD Vance was the strongest opponent of the war with Iran within Trump's circle, and he called the operation a gamble that was going to have dire consequences. And Vance argued that if you went in there, Iran would close down the Strait of Hormuz and there would not be any ability to do a regime change, and that Netanyahu was dragging the United States into this catastrophic event and that war needed to be avoided. So remember, JD Vance leaked all of that to the New York Times as this War Monitor account. It's an open source intelligence account, writes, with ratings in the toilet and Americans largely opposed to the war, it's hard not to see this leak as an effort to paint JD Vance as a voice of reason ahead of 2028. That was April 10th of 2026, folks. We're now in June at this point, okay? And here JD Vance was leaking that on April 9th. A whole month, we're like 45, 50 days later at this point. But JD Vance didn't stop there. They also leaked the article to The Atlantic recently as well. Remember, Vance doubts the Pentagon's depiction of the Iran war. Even Steve Bannon knew that obviously Vance is the source of these leaks. Steve Bannon wrote, "Trouble in paradise? The Pentagon may not be giving Trump the full picture of the war. Vice President Vance is worried that the U.S. is running low on weapons." And so Trump believes that JD Vance is the leaker, that he's trying to undermine everybody. And again, You read between the lines here. Donald Trump hates JD Vance. He wants Vance out, but he realized Vance is a weak guy, and ultimately he could put up with Vance's leaking so long as JD Vance makes a fool of himself publicly and says things like, I trust Donald Trump over the Pope. I mean, just to remind you of JD Vance's background. JD Vance had 3 different names before settling on JD Vance. He's had multiple different personalities. He went from thinking that he was a gay man for most of his early life, and then he changed his name twice and then became an anti-LGBTQ extremist after growing up and as a young man believing that he was a gay man. He said, and then he said, I realized one day I wasn't gay anymore, or something like that. Here are some photos of him in high school, and so multiple personalities with JD Vance. And, JD Vance has been out there, though, saying things that seem also to undermine the regime. So JD Vance recently, when May 18th, he said, when someone steals over $1 billion from the government, that's theft from you. At the same time, Donald Trump stole or was trying to steal $1.8 billion for the January 6th slush fund. And then JD Vance that day said this. Do you see what's going on here behind the scenes? Here, play this clip.
When somebody steals $1.4 billion from the Medicaid program, that is theft from you, and that's theft from people who deserve to be able to go see a doctor. When people steal billions of dollars from the Medicare program, that is theft from you, and it's also theft from the people who use the Medicare program to pay their bills.
JD Vance then said, if you want to make America great, you got to get rid of the crazy leadership in Washington. That's you. You guys are in charge. Republicans are in charge of every branch of government right now. Yeah, it's your regime that's the leadership. Here, play this clip.
So I'm not going to ask you to agree with us on every issue because that would be impossible. What I will ask you is if you want to make America great, if you want to protect your jobs and hopefully build jobs in this beautiful factory, if you want to make our streets even safer, if you want to rebuild the American dream for the next generation, vote against the crazy leadership in Washington, D.C. Vote for...
And then the things that bother Trump about JD Vance is he just does weird stuff. Like when JD Vance points, he points with his middle finger and he does it in a very interesting way. But who does this? Here, play this clip.
The 2 youngest kids, bottom bunk, top bunk.
Bottom bunk, top bunk. Bottom bunk, top bunk.
He brags about how he loves Magic the Gathering. Here, play this clip.
Scandal if people knew.
I used to be really into, and I still have the cards, and I'm trying to get my 8-year-old to play with me. I used to be really into Magic the Gathering. So really nerdy.
Even Benny Johnson was out there, saying in response to, I think it was, Joe Rogan basically saying why are all these MAGA people so not cool anymore? Why are they all such losers? And this is what JD Vance said about being a loser. Play this clip.
Joe says MAGA's full of dorks. What do you think? You consider yourself a dork? He says MAGA's dorks.
I think we have many fewer dorks than the far left, but everybody's got some dorks. We love our dorks. We love our cool kids. We love anybody who wants to save the country.
Then JD Vance bragged about cutting people in lines in Disney when he takes all these vacations. And one of the things that also pisses off Trump about Vance is that he hates when Vance takes vacations. Play this clip.
So we had the island to ourselves, which was very cool. I'd never been to Disneyland.
They were shutting down the Disney World one.
Yeah, that's sorry to all the people who are Disneyland for the longer lines, but we had a very good time.
And I'll just remind you of this. I'm going to show you this footage. This is from April 1st, 2026. Let me repeat that. April 1st, 2026. Donald Trump says he will blame JD Vance if he doesn't get an Iran deal. This was leaked White House video. This video was not broadcast publicly, but then this one surfaced right here. Here, play this clip.
He's working on the deal, right? How's that moving? Is it okay? The big deal? You see it happening? So if it doesn't happen, I'm blaming JD Vance. If it does happen, I'm taking full credit. No, I think it'll be, I think it has to happen. I think they're desperate.
Okay, then recently, JD Vance was asked, this was May 13th, what's your message to the American people as the Iran war continues to impact the economy in this country? He's like, well, other countries suffer a lot also. And well, my message is we have a lot of work to do. Here's what he has to say. Play this clip.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. My question is, what's your message to Americans as the Iran war continues to impact the economy, especially after yesterday's inflation report?
Well, I guess my message to Americans is we know that we have a lot of work to do in order to deliver on the prosperity that the American people deserve.
Just to show you again, this was him dropping the Heisman Trophy. Play this clip. And then one of the things that bothered Donald Trump as well is when JD Vance went on Hannity. This was back last year. And JD Vance says, if anything happens to Donald Trump, I'm there when tragedy strikes. And that really bothered Trump as well. Here, play this clip.
You seem to go with the flow pretty well. Do you have quiet moments? You think about that?
Yeah, honestly, Sean, I try not to. I mean, one, I serve under Donald Trump, who is very healthy.
He casts a pretty big shadow.
He casts a big shadow, but if I served under Joe Biden, I'd probably be worried every minute of every day that he was going to croak and that I'd have to become president. But because I serve a president...
You have a bat phone. Okay, did it just happen?
Like, I'd never be able to sleep. I'd always have my cell phone as loud as possible. But no, the president, one, he's got a lot of energy. He's extremely healthy. So I don't think about that. Obviously, that's part of the job, is you've got to be ready if tragedy strikes.
So it definitely does seem that Donald Trump is just completely he hates JD Vance. You see for yourself. It'll be fascinating to see if JD Vance is the next one to go or he gets pushed out. But I think Trump still is okay with Vance because how Vance is willing, at least publicly, to make such a fool of himself. But we'll keep you posted on what's going on. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. Interesting times. Hit subscribe. Thanks for watching.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.